On the 1st of December 2022, the World Health Organization, WHO, its partners, global leaders and individuals from every corner of the planet, commemorated the 35th World AIDS Day. Themed Equalize, the 2022 campaign focused on recognizing and addressing the inequalities which has stifled progress in ending the pandemic. Shrinking resources, division, disparity and a disregard for human rights through unequal access to essential HIV services, particularly for children and at-risk populations, the poor, LGBTQI people, drug users, sex workers, prisoners, and citizens of developing nations, has negatively impacted the global HIV response to what still remains a major public crisis and health issue that affects millions of people's lives worldwide. 38.4 million people worldwide live with HIV/AIDS. 1.8 million children are infected with the HIV virus. 84.2 million people contracted HIV since 1981. 40.1 million died from HIV/AIDS since the first case. But with the introduction of modern medicines, it is no longer a death sentence. A 20-year-old infected with the virus today can live well into their 70s.
So Doc, you say if I take those tabs, I can live a normal life again?
Yes, you can. Like magic. But just not your crazy normal life again.
HIV/AIDS, once the leading cause of death in developing countries, is now ranked third. An increase in education on prevention and treatment has helped, but with nearly half the world's 1 million annual mortalities, poverty-stricken Africa's fight in eliminating the disease is a major concern. In 2020, of the top 20 countries with the highest number of HIV/AIDS deaths, 16 were from Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa accounted for some 398,000, 84% of the total 472,000 deaths in those 20 countries. South Africa was ranked number 1 spot for the most lives lost to the pandemic in 2020, a staggering 18%, totaling 71,000 deaths. The 4 other remaining countries, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar and Brazil's combined figure equaled 74,000 deaths.
What? You think I'm to blame? Why don't you go point fingers at that freaking bat?
Human immune deficiency virus (HIV) over time causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome (AIDS), which compromises the immune system and allows life-threatening opportunistic infections to thrive, resulting in death in 9 to 11 years. AIDS does not discriminate. It has killed both young and old, unborn babies and pregnant moms, rich and poor. Fame is not impenetrable. Los Angeles Lakers NBA star Earvin "Magic" Johnson announced his retirement in 1991 after testing positive and has since been an advocate for HIV/AIDS and safe sex.
These kids scare me. I will come back later, maybe.
Born Farrokh Bulsara in 1946 in Zanzibar, Tanzania, to Parsi Indian parents, Mercury was the lead vocalist of the glamour rock band, Queen. He wrote a string of hit songs, including Bohemian Rhapsody, Somebody to Love, and what today is globally recognized as the European Champions League football anthem, We Are the Champions. He was diagnosed with AIDS in 1987 and died on the 24th of November 1991 at the age of 45, a day after publicly disclosing his HIV status to the world. Eric Lynn Wright, better known as Eazy-E, was born in 1964 in Compton, California. Along with Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, was a member of the American West Coast gangster rap group, NWA. They released their debut multi-platinum album, Straight Outta Compton, in 1988. Eazy-E died of AIDS in 1995. Born in a rural village in 1989 to an HIV-positive mom and a dad he'd never meet, Nkosi Johnson would go on to speak at the 13th International AIDS Conference, co-found a refuge for HIV-positive mothers and their children, be awarded the International Children's Peace Prize by Mikhail Gorbachev, and referred to as an icon of the struggle for life by Nelson Mandela. The longest surviving South African child born HIV-positive at the time, Nkosi died in 2001 at the age of 12, but in his short life profoundly impacted public awareness and attitudes towards the pandemic. Serophobia is the prejudice, fear, rejection, and stigmatization of people living with HIV/AIDS. Despite laws prohibiting it, discrimination against HIV-positive individuals is pervasive worldwide. Housing, employment, and access to healthcare and social services are often restricted. Practices such as refusing blood donations from at-risk populations, compulsory HIV testing without prior consent, violations of confidentiality, targeted violence, and abuse are a daily experience of persons living with HIV. This leads to low turnout for HIV counseling and testing, identity crises, isolation, loneliness, low self-esteem, and a lack of interest in containing the disease. HIV in bodily fluids, blood, semen, vaginal, rectal, and breast milk can be transmitted by unprotected sex, blood transfusions, sharing needles, syringes, sharp objects, and mother-to-infant transmission during pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding. Adults have unsafe sex 51% of the time. Young adults that have had hookups 70%. Men aged 18 to 24 that use condoms 45%. Believe birth control is not morally right 6%. Cheat on their partners 16%. The average number of sex partners in the USA 10.7. Highest number of sex partners, Turkey 14.5. Lowest number of sex partners, India 3. Antiretroviral therapy, ART, effectively suppresses HIV in the body, greatly reducing the chance of transmission. HIV non-disclosure is the criminal offense for not disclosing an HIV-positive status, and then exposing or transmitting HIV to a person, be it intentionally, accidentally, or unknowingly. Many English-speaking countries have signed the European Convention of Human Rights, where knowingly infecting others can lead to the accused being charged either under existing laws or expressly enacted laws, such as the criminal transmission of HIV in the US. The first person to be convicted of intentionally infecting another individual with HIV was Thomas Guerra, an American landscape architect sentenced to 6 months in prison for intentionally exposing dozens of other men to the disease. Johnson Aziga, a Ugandan-born Canadian, was the first person to be convicted of first-degree murder after the deaths of 2 women he had infected. Italian accountant, Valentino Toluto, whose partners testified in court that he would claim that he was allergic to condoms in order to convince them to have unprotected sex, was convicted of 30 transmissions of HIV and sentenced to 24 years imprisonment. German female pop singer and television personality, Nodja Benessa, was given 2 years probation and community service for knowingly infecting a number of her lovers. 1 in 7 people living with HIV don't know they have the disease. Taking an HIV test is the only way you can tell if you have the virus, as AIDS symptoms can take years to surface. The test is quick, easy, and almost always free. Whether you test positive or negative, it is the first step in protecting your health and the health of the people you care about. Knowing your HIV status brings peace of mind and satisfaction in the fact that you took action in preventing the further spread of the pandemic.